What's your financial plan? You don't have one. Of course you do. You know what you don't talk, the Gen X financial plan? Yeah. G'day, slackers. In my last video, the subject of financial planning came up, and there was some interest in the comments expressed about seeing a little bit more about that subject. So, when you get 2 comments and 100% of the comments want to hear about a subject, you got to respond. So here we are. Let's get started. You all know what this is, don't you? Yes, of course you do. This is the Generation X retirement plan. We've all got one. We've all had many of them, actually. And I thought it might be helpful today to pick away at the old way of doing things financially while we talk a little bit about how we might want to change that in the future going forward, just to help ourselves get a little better off. And before we get started, I would like to say that I'm not a financial expert. I have 0 credentials. I have no training. I've read some books on my own, and I've had some experience over the last 20, 30 years with investment. I just want to get that out there. You're going to need to do your own due diligence. Anything you learn from me is just a suggestion. What works for me might not work for you, and I certainly don't have any kind of documentation to prove anything to anybody. Just trying to help out. I'd also like to note that this advice is not for anybody that might be unfortunate enough to be struggling through genuine financial hardship. There are lots of videos out there and lots of channels that are helpful for learning how to bring yourself from one of those situations into a better one. I'm afraid I can't do that for you. I'm here to talk about people from my generation who have got a living going on, but might want something more. And I've just got some helpful strategies and ideas about how you might achieve those goals to just make things a little bit better in your life financially. That's it. Not a pro, just a dude. Here we go. Now, one of the reasons in my view that Generation X is such a bunch of dummies when it comes to financial health, financial life, that kind of thing, is that we were taught that it was just the realm of experts. And as well, we kind of convinced ourselves of that too. Part of the whole Gen X thing to tune out, lose faith in things like institutions, be a little bit nihilistic about money.
Niles. Fuck me.
It was all very fashionable, but now we're old, and it'd be helpful to have a little bit of money. I'm surprised that we didn't learn any of those things. Maybe I might have an idea that's going to help you get a little bit more comfortable. Just give me a second. There we go. That's a little better. Now you're ready to take some financial advice from somebody, right? See, that's part of the problem. Is that for me anyway? My mindset was always that I had to talk to someone that looked like this when I was 20 if I wanted to learn anything about money, and I just wasn't going to do it. So I didn't learn anything about money. The truth is that none of this is really necessary. Kind of hurt my eyes, so I'm gonna take them off for the rest of this video and get on with what we're here to talk about. And I decided to keep the shirt just for the veneer of legitimacy. I would like this to be the first note that anybody takes. Nobody needs a stockbroker anymore. Not since the 90s, really, since the advent of self-directed investment. In Canada, anyway, it started with TD Direct. You could buy and sell stock by phone through a discount broker at the bank. And that was the beginning of what now is probably the most common way that people do trade in and out of equities in the various markets throughout the world, and that is self-directed. So if you've kept your head in the sand about this stuff for a while and you're unaware of that, do know that you don't need to talk to anybody to invest. You can open an account online through your bank and begin trading almost immediately. I do recommend doing some reading, a little bit of research about what you want to get into, but that's what we're doing here today, and that's what YouTube is for. You can learn anything on YouTube. The whole, sweaty guy with the tie and the hunkered over a bunch of phones in a boiler room, though that doesn't, I'm sure it exists, but you don't need to get involved with any of that anymore. You can just trade in and out of things through the convenience of your phone. Done. Boom. That is the way I would recommend doing that. Now, one of the misconceptions that I find that I had, and that maybe a lot of people who don't consider the stock market part of their repertoire or investing part of their repertoire, is this notion that you need to buy stocks at a low price and hope that they go up and then sell them when they do. And that can be a pretty grueling process, particularly because most stocks don't go up. And if they do, good luck choosing which ones it's going to be. Have you got the patience to wait that out? Are you going to need that money in the meantime? Blah, 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 blah. Other complications start to come into it. And then before you know it, you're not investing anymore, because it just seems too impossible that you would find that one needle in a haystack that's going to shoot through the roof and you're going to become a millionaire. And that's kind of the way people tend to look at it. And I think that's what ruins a lot of folks for actually getting interested in investing, because it can be a lot of fun, and it definitely doesn't have to be like that. So I would say, if I'm going to lay out some rules here, for the uninitiated like us, don't invest in growth stocks. And that's what those are called. Stocks that ideally go up in value and price over time. Sometimes it's just hype, sometimes it's the strength of the company. But either way, I don't really like it as a strategy. I know it's the traditional one that most people do understand, but quite honestly, the wealthy folks out there are aware of it, use it, but it's just one tool in the arsenal. So I don't recommend trading or even long-term investment in single equities, only because you kind of need to have a very long horizon there if you're planning to invest for value. And in our 50s, maybe we don't have that. So perhaps not the best idea, because you're going to wait a long time for that strategy to come to fruition. Now, conversely, if you think you're just going to go into single equities and trade in and out of them, like, it's very sexy to talk about day trading, but most of those folks are done unexpectedly one Thursday afternoon, and they just disappear into financial obscurity, or they become crazy rich. But like, betting that you're going to land on either one of those. So why don't we look at something that is a little bit more practical, a bit more of a feasible way to go forward, particularly for folks like us that aren't starting out with a huge bankroll, and you just want to make the most of what you've got, keep it, and grow a future. So there's what I don't recommend. What do I recommend? Or rather, what's worked for me. And what that is three different things, three different types of investment in the equity markets. The first would be, again, straight up equity. So that's a stock in a single company, but a dividend stock. And you're going to buy this for a different reason than you would a growth stock. So you're not going to buy something like this with the expectation that it's going to gain value rapidly. They'll gain value over the long term, because the idea here is you want to hold these. So that does work to your advantage. You will see some gains, most likely, with a solidly well-picked dividend stock over time. If you're willing to leave it there, and you are going to leave it there if you put it there, because the idea is that you're not making money so much off of eventually selling that equity at a higher price than you purchased it, but rather at collecting what's known as dividends on a monthly basis. In a nutshell, a dividend is profits that the company pays back to its shareholders simply for being nice enough to have held the stock. Dividend stocks tend to pay quarterly. They will pay you just to keep the stock. Never mind what the price does, they'll just pay you regular income to hold their stock. I like using that the way I would have used a savings account in the past. Just keep putting money into it. It's slowly going to go up over time, most likely, if it's a well-picked company. You could consider that your old school 0.2, 0.3 interest rate that you'd get from a savings account, but where the real value is in those monthly payments. You're going to get paid a certain amount every month per share that you hold. So if you take that money that you earn each month or each quarter, whatever it is, put it right back into that stock, that's just free stock they're giving you, essentially. And that's the kind of thing that can snowball over a period of years. And we're only in our 50s. We're only in our 50s. Remember that. There are like 15, 20 years to go here before we're done working, supposedly. So, there's time for this to work. Anyway, that is dividend stocks. Very similar, a little bit different, but maybe holding greater advantage, in my view, are ETFs and REITs. These are good places to put your money. In the case of an ETF, that stands for Exchange Traded Fund. And to explain that, if you don't know, I'm sure somebody at your bank has tried to tell you to, put some money into their mutual fund that they've got. And it's a great package, and you can choose between, low risk and mid risk and high risk, and it's, and it's painless, and once a month that money goes in there, and nothing really happens. Again, not a professional, but in my view, mutual funds sort of had their day and they've been eclipsed by ETFs and something else we're going to talk about. Namely because an ETF, an exchange traded fund, is just that. So it's a fund. It's pretty much the same as a mutual fund, although they do tend to have lower fees associated with them. A mutual fund will charge you a certain amount of money to manage the fund, and I've never really been clear where the value is in that management fee. An exchange traded fund is essentially the same thing. So you've got this bunch of different companies basketed together as one entity. You can trade in and out of that at will with your trading account. Whereas with a mutual fund, you're locked in there for a period of time, or you have to call the bank. And I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've had a mutual fund that I don't even remember how it works. All I know is they're illiquid. You don't have the control over those. So if things go batshit crazy, you're not going to be able to make changes quickly. You just have more control with an exchange traded fund. I think it's got all the advantages of a mutual fund and a few extras that the mutual fund does not have. That's that freedom of movement. So that's ETFs. Very similar financial product that I have used and I quite like as well, something called REITs, real estate interest. Oh my God, I forgot what it's called. Real estate investment trusts, pardon me. Remember I said I didn't have any credentials. Real estate investment trusts are similar to ETFs in the way that you can trade in and out of them. Again, real big advantage over a mutual fund. You can trade a REIT just like you would any stock, just like you would any ETF, on the open market on any given trading day. And the difference between these guys and the exchange traded funds, whereas an exchange traded fund is any number of different companies, that can be any kind of company, they'll often be segmented, but in the case of a REIT, specifically real estate. So it's real estate holdings, usually commercial real estate holdings, that generate monthly income because of course rent is real money. Now, as a holder of shares in this REIT, you are entitled to your monthly payout, your share of that monthly rental income. They just pay this to you simply for holding the equity. And again, they'll go up, they'll go down, hopefully over the long term, because you're going to hold them like that, they're going to go up. So, the whole strategy here really is to just slowly start building a way to have monthly or quarterly passive income, some money that you're not actually going out there and busting your ass to get. You're putting money to work for you. And that's how the wealthy get that way. That's something that the guys with the glasses never told you, right? The point is this, all of this is entirely within reach for the average person. If you've got even a little bit of income that you can put towards saving, or you've thought about it, or you've thought maybe I'm going to start saving more, but what would I save for? Jamaica is not the thing. You want to save for your future, because then you can go to Jamaica a whole bunch of times. There's a lot of catchphrases out there, motivational things that people will say to sort of get your head in the right space for saving or sort of healthy financial life. One that I like particularly is do today what others won't, so that you can do tomorrow what others can't. Right? I'm gonna put the glasses on and do it again. Do you think? No, you guys got it. You got it. All right, so we're gonna call it there, slackers. Here's the basics. We're just gonna rattle them off one more time. You don't need a financial advisor. You need to open a self-directed trading account. Don't worry about growth stocks. Look at stocks that will pay you monthly. Dividends, ETFs, REITs. That's it. We'll start there. If this is of value to anybody at all, let me know, and maybe we can dig in a little further to some of these topics if in fact people have found value here. I hope you have a great day, and I am wishing you some financial success. And thanks for listening, and again, I hope I can help. Bye. Bye.